Good afternoon. We are in Job chapter 21 today. We heard Zophar's sermon on the wicked man, and now Job is going to give us a discourse on the wicked. I thought it might be fun for you. I think I had mentioned the first time I read the book, I had highlighted in yellow everything that I thought was inspired by God and profitable for reproof, doctrine, out of Timothy. So now, every time I go through it, more highlights and more notes. I want to encourage you that with this book, there is no end to the growth that you can choose to dive into. If you're honest with yourself, if you're honest with the Lord, if you're really searching for something different. So chapter 21, Job answers and says, "Listen carefully to my speech, and let this be your consolation. Bear with me that I may speak, and after I have spoken, keep mocking." Job's appealing to the place inside of his friends that are trying to come to grips with what has happened to Job because it doesn't fit their grid. And out of their arguments, there's been a sense of, but there's something we're missing. And they keep expecting Job to have a confession, some hidden sin, something that makes it all logical or reasonable. And sometimes it's just not. As for me, is my complaint against man? And if it were, why should I not be impatient? Look at me and be astonished. Put your hand over your mouth. Even when I remember, I'm terrified, and trembling takes hold of my flesh. Why do the wicked live and become old? Yes, become mighty in power. Their descendants are established with them in their sight, their offspring before their eyes. Their houses are safe from fear, neither is the rod of God upon them. Their bull breeds without failure, their cow calves without miscarriage. They send forth their little ones like a flock, and their children dance. We're in a season on the earth when there's been a lot of exposure happening. And even after the wicked gets exposed, sometimes it doesn't seem like justice comes. And when you feel that way, you're in good company. Job felt that way. So did David. The children sing to the tambourine and harp. They rejoice to the sound of the flute. They spend their days in wealth. And in a moment go down to the grave. Yet they say to God, "Depart from us, for we do not desire the knowledge of your ways." To our eyes, to our frail, human, finite mind, It doesn't seem just. They say, who is the Almighty that we would serve him? And what profit do we have if we pray to him? Indeed, their prosperity is not in their hand. The counsel of the wicked is far from me. How many times has Job offered this truth, languaging it differently to his friends who he thought knew him? There's something that happens when you go through something that doesn't make sense if you allow it to change you. You grow in trust, and you are more comfortable with mystery. And those two things will cause you to draw deeper into God. How often is the lamp of the wicked put out? How often does destruction come upon them? The sorrows God distributes in his anger, they're like straw before the wind, and like chaff that a storm carries away. They say God lays up one's iniquity for his children. Let him recompense him, that he may know it. Let his eyes see his destruction. Let him drink of the wrath of the Almighty. For what does he care about his household after him, when the number of his months is cut in half? We have permission to ask God these things. There is also, alongside of that, a need to be respectful of his sovereignty and mindful of how small we are and how little we really understand the bigger eternal picture. Can anyone teach God knowledge, since he judges those on high? One dies in his full strength, being wholly at ease and secure. His pails are full of milk, the marrow of his bones is moist. Another man dies in the bitterness of his soul, never having eaten with pleasure. They lie down alike, and the dust and the worms cover them. Have you had questions about people that you've loved, that you've lost? About where was justice? Why this happens to this person? Why it doesn't happen to the other? God doesn't condemn us for having those wonderings. He knew that some of it would not make sense. Look, I know your thoughts and the schemes with which you would wrong me. For you say, where is the house of the prince, and where is the tent, the dwelling place of the wicked? Have you not asked those who travel the road, and do you not know their signs? For the wicked are reserved for the day of doom. They shall be brought out on the day of wrath. I can promise with absolute confidence that one day things will make sense. The Lord has already offered me some answers to some of my why questions. Not all, but some. And his answers are so beautifully perfect, they'll take your breath away. There is a day coming when wrong things will be made right, and everything will be made beautiful in its time. Who condemns his way to his face, and who repays him for what he has done? Yet he shall be brought to the grave as a vigil kept over the tomb. The claws of the valley shall be sweet to him, and everyone shall follow him, as countless have gone before him. How then can you comfort me with empty words, since falsehood remains in your answers? Even in the place where he's going through all this stuff, even in the place where he's being accused, condemned, assumed guilty, he's still bringing truth. If his friends want to receive it. I bless you to not give up hope for those who have previously been unteachable and they thought they knew, and judging you was part of what happened, what that looked like. Life happens to us all. And when they go through things that they don't understand, that don't fit the grid of who they have thought they have known God to be, they'll come find you. And you'll have the grace to recognize the mystery and to be able to walk beside them in love. Even if it hasn't been done for you by anybody other than the Lord. Once you've gone through it, you'll have it to give. I bless you in Jesus' name today.